Let me put it this way. I can tell you this because I deal with lots of leaders all over the world. He is a world-class leader. He's a man that knows what he wants. And I'm not surprised to see that he won the election and won it substantially. And I would think he's more popular now. He's a good man. He does a great job, and he's a tough negotiator.
We're going to start off the video by me asking you guys a question. If you believe that President Trump is one of the greatest presidents ever, or just not the greatest or one of, but just a really good president, that means a couple different things. It means that you trust him and his decisions, his direction, his messaging. You also trust his judgment. So if President Trump says, I like the Prince of Zimbabwe, then chances are you're going to say, okay, I guess the Prince of Zimbabwe is pretty good. That's not a blanket, rule across everything, but for a lot of things, if you are trusting a leader to lead your country, if he's saying that he likes these people, then yeah, you're going to say, okay, well, I guess that I also kind of like these people, the Prince of Zimbabwe. So let's remove the Prince of Zimbabwe with the Prime Minister of Canada, because that's what just happened. President Trump had the Canadian Prime Minister and his little envoy come to the White House, and he said that he likes Mark Carney, loves him. In fact, even Mark Carney in the past has said that he texts Trump quite regularly. Here's that clip.
The U.S. president is a modern man. I speak with him regularly. We send each other text messages.
So I find myself in this weird kind of free fall right now where I didn't like Justin Trudeau, right? Governor Trudeau was not good. And then his replacement came in, Mark Carney. Of course, I have a bias. I don't like the Liberals in Canada. They're ruining our country. Yet here we are, the president, who I very much like, saying that he likes Carney very much, and they are very good friends. And that puts me in a weird position, because again, if it was anyone but Mark Carney, if it was the Prince of Zimbabwe, I'd be saying, all right, I guess I like the Prince of Zimbabwe. And the same thing goes for Mark Carney. So the people that voted Liberal in Canada, they voted because Mark Carney was anti-Trump. Mark Carney ran an anti-American campaign just 5-6 months ago. But the reality is that Mark Carney likes the Queen of Zimbabwe. Mark Carney loves the Queen of Zimbabwe. Absolutely gets along with the Queen of Zimbabwe. So Liberals, therefore, those who voted for Mark Carney, should also like the Queen of Zimbabwe, right? Wrong, because it's not the Queen of Zimbabwe, it's Trump. So Liberals who voted for Mark Carney hate Trump, but Mark Carney likes Trump. And conservatives who voted against Liberals usually like Trump, but hate Mark Carney, even though Trump likes Mark Carney. So we find ourselves in this weird parallel universe where it doesn't make really much sense right now. And so we're going to take a look at their press conference, because, again, the state of Canada and America should be that we are stronger than ever. We have joint military bases. We've got very little tariffs on each other. We've got open trade, and we're doing phenomenal. Yet we're in the midst of a trade war. Or are we? Is this all just posturing? These are these are really good questions that we have to ask ourselves, because it feels like a lot of the kerfuffle between the trade war is just temporary kind of, posturing. It feels like the United States and Canada are actually stronger than ever because our leaders adore each other. Let's have a look.
Is there anything the Prime Minister has done that's making it more difficult to reach a deal?
Say it?
Is there anything that the Prime Minister has done that's making it more difficult or easier to reach a deal?
No, I think he's a great Prime Minister. I mean, he could represent me anytime. I will tell you, I'm not saying that because... No, he is a very strong, very good leader. He's a nice man, but he can be nasty. He can be very nasty. Maybe as nasty as anybody.
How?
I think Canada, let me put it this way, I can tell you this, because I deal with lots of leaders all over the world. He is a world-class leader. He's a man that knows what he wants, and I'm not surprised to see that he won the election and won it substantially, and I would think he's more popular now. He's a good man. He does a great job, but he's a tough negotiator.
So then what's holding things up? If he's a great man and you want to do a deal with Canada, why aren't you?
Because I want to be a great man, too. Thank you very much. Thank you. Well, thank you very much, everybody. It's an honor to have the Prime Minister of Canada, Mark Carney, who I have made very popular. He's an extremely popular Prime Minister, and I'm very honored to do it because I liked him right from the beginning. I've liked him, and we've had a good relationship. We have some natural conflict, but we will probably work that out. But we've had a very strong relationship, and your hosting of the various countries that showed up, that was a beautiful job you did, and I appreciate it very much. But in the meantime, we'll spend some time, and we'll make some deals, and we'll do some things that are good for both of our countries. And Mark, it's an honor to have you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. If I may, you kindly hosted me and some of my colleagues a few months ago, and I said at the time, you are a transformative president. And since then, the transformation in the economy, unprecedented commitments of NATO partners to defense spending, peace from India, Pakistan through to Azerbaijan, Armenia, disabling Iran as a force of terror, and now, and I'm running out of time, but this is in many respects the most important.
The merger of Canada and the United States.
That wasn't where I was going. On this solemn day of commemoration of the horrific attacks of October 7th, for the first time in decades, hundreds of years, thousands of years, this prospect of peace that you've made possible. Canada stands foursquare behind those efforts, and we'll do whatever we can to support
Very
them.
nice.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Any questions?
What would it take for you to drop or lower your tariffs on Canadian sectors, including aluminum and steel?
Well, we're going to be talking about that with the Prime Minister. We'll be talking about tariffs. We'll be talking about a lot of that, but that's for a little bit later on.
Has the Prime-
Acknowledge our great ambassador. Is he doing a good job?
He's doing a good job.
Otherwise, I'll get him out of there so fast.
Why has Canada and the United States failed to reach an agreement up until now?
Well, it's a complicated agreement, more complicated maybe than any other agreement we have on trade, because, we have natural conflict. We also have mutual love. We have great love for each other. I love this. I love Canada, the people of Canada, and Mark feels the same way about here. The problem we have is that they want a car company and I want a car company, meaning the U.S. wants a car company, and they want steel and we want steel. So in other countries, they're very far away, and there's no problem. You can compete and you can do. We don't like to compete because we sort of hurt each other when we compete, and so we have a natural conflict. It's a natural business conflict. Nothing wrong with it, and I think we've come a long way over the last few months, actually, in terms of that relationship. So when it comes to trade, the United States was always giving everything. They gave everything to Canada. They would let car companies leave here and go to Canada. But that hurts the United States. And, other presidents didn't see that. They weren't business oriented. They might have been good politicians in some cases, not in all cases. They were bad at both. But it's a very natural conflict, and it's something that we're working out.
Canada has offered a lot of compromise this summer. Are you willing today to offer some compromise to Canada, maybe on steel and aluminum?
Well, we've made compromise, and we've made some compromise even on steel. But we have the same basic authority and the same basic. This could be also a little bit of a conflict with other countries all over the world on steel, because we want to make our own steel. We don't want to bring steel in for the most part, but we will bring it in, and we do bring it in. We continue to bring it in from Canada, but there is a tariff to pay. And I think that would be a normal thing to say, but we've come a long way. I think, Howard, we can truly say. Do you want to make a comment on that?
Well, I think the opportunity to work together, but as you've said, there's conflict. Why do we make cars in Canada? You've called that out, and you've addressed that. So there are places we should work together, and there are places that we have natural conflict.
It's a tough situation because we want to make our cars here, at the same time, we want Canada to do well making cars. So we're working on formulas, and I think we'll get there.
Canadians are refusing to go to the U.S. The numbers are down like 23% in the first 7 months of the year. What do you say to Canadians that don't want to go to the U.S. now because of your 51st state talk, because of the trade war, the tariffs, and the fear of also
Look, I understand
that,
that, and Americans don't want to buy cars that are made in Canada. You know, I mean, we have the same conflict. So there isn't. It's something that will get worked out. There's still great love between the two countries, but you know, American people want product here. They want to make it here. Detroit was emptied out and moved to Canada, moved to Mexico, moved to other places, not just Canada. And now they're all moving back, you know, they're moving back. We have, right now, I was just telling Mark, we have 17 trillion, but it's really much higher. That was as of a couple of months ago. We have over $17 trillion being invested now in the United States. As an example, Biden, he was the worst president we've ever had, but they had less than $1 trillion in 4 years. We have more than 17 trillion in 8 months. 8 months. And I think that number is going to be $21, $22 trillion. There's never been anything like that in the history of the world for any country, not even close. You know, if you did 1 trillion in a year, that's pretty good. We're going to do over 20. And it's coming in with AI, it's coming in with auto plants. You know, we're building auto plants, a lot of auto plants in the U.S. It's coming in for a lot of reasons. It's coming in because of the fact, I think the November 5th election was a big factor, and I think the tariffs are a big factor. And again, we want Canada to do great, but you know, there's a point at which we also want the same business. We're competing for the same business. That's the problem. That's why I keep mentioning one way to solve that problem is a very easy way. But we're competing for the same business. He wants to make cars, we want to make cars, and we're in competition. And the advantage we have is we have this massive market. So it's it's quite an advantage. And you know, Canada, you suffered because of that too, because they'd come here and they'd go into Canada also. So we're like a buffer for that in terms of Canada suffered greatly by Biden and the open border, the policy of open border, totally unchecked, totally unvetted. And these people were, you know, if you got 5%, 2%, now you were getting a lot of bad people. And we now have a closed border. You've done well. Yep. We have a closed border, and it's a really closed border. In fact, for 4 months, I don't even know if this is possible, but the figures were released. 0 people were able to come into the United States from the southern border. 0. And as you know, we've taken a very hard stand on drugs. This is also benefiting you. A lot of we call them the water drugs, the drugs that come in through water. A question for the President.
Mr. Prime Minister, I'd like to know how come the UK and the European Union have succeeded to sign deals and bring the tariffs down, and Canada still hasn't been able to do the same?
Yeah, because they're not located right next to each other. It makes it, in many cases, it's much better and easier. But
and if I may, let's be clear about the relationship as it stands right now. We are the second largest trading partner of the United States. We do a lot of trade going across the border where we're cooperating, first thing. Secondly, we are the largest foreign investor in the United States. $500 billion in the last 5 years alone, probably $8 trillion in the next 5 years if we get the agreement that we expect to get. Thirdly, there are areas, as the President just said, where conflict, maybe not so much conflict, we compete. There are areas where we compete, and it's in those areas where we have to come to an agreement that works. But there are more areas where we are stronger together, and that's what we're focused on. And we're going to get the right deal. Right deal for America, right deal, obviously, from my perspective, for Canada.
Including one thing that... Wait. So one thing where we are working very closely is the Golden Dome. That's the protective mechanism, and you see how that works. It's unbelievable. Ronald Reagan wanted to have it, and at that time they didn't have the technology, even close to the technology, but he was advanced, and we'll be working together on a Golden Dome for the two countries, and it's something that I think is going to be very important. especially when you look at the world, you look at what's happening. We want to have that protection. It's really amazing. The technology is unbelievable.
Okay, will Canada be leaving empty-handed, or will will Mr. Carney be leaving Washington with a deal on tariffs?
I think they're going to be very happy. We have a lot of things that we're working on that people don't talk about. They talk about, competitiveness. She's a very competitive person. And they talk about things that we don't necessarily agree on. But I think they're going to walk away very happy. I think so.
When the USMCA gets renegotiated, do you want a minimum tariff on goods between Canada and the U.S.?
Well, we're going to have tariffs between Canada and, they have them with us. I will say with our farmers, as you know, they went up to as much as 400%, 250, 300, and even one at 401. We found one having to do with a very small product, but it was high. So we've always had tariffs between the two of us, and actually Canada was charging us very high tariffs on our agricultural things, a lot of our agricultural product, and that's one of the things that we talk about for bringing that down. So this is a mutual thing, but we've been charged tariffs. Look, we're the king of being screwed by tariffs, just so you understand. And I'm not talking about with Canada. I'm talking about with countries all over the world. When you look at Europe, when you look at China, when you look at all of the almost every country charged the U.S., we didn't charge them because we were led by stupid people in many cases. Stupid people. They took advantage of our country. They're not taking advantage of us anymore. If you looked at European Union, they're all my friends. I don't blame them. I blame our presidents. I blame our past presidents and business leaders. But we are the king of countries that have been taken advantage of for many, many years. We've been paying trillions and trillions of dollars and receiving nothing at all. As an example, prior to the deal with Europe, where they pay a lot of money, but they're happy and I'm happy. The deal was good. It's a fair deal. But it wasn't fair. You couldn't put a car into Europe. You couldn't sell your agriculture into Europe. You couldn't do anything. And now we have it so that it's open. We charge them tariffs. We didn't charge them tariffs a car. They charge us tremendous. I said to Angela Merkel once, I said, how many cars have gone to Germany from the United States? And she said, well, I don't believe any. And I said, you're right. You're right. Well, that doesn't happen anymore. And they're paying a fair amount. It's just a fair amount. It's not. I could ask for much more. It's a fair amount. But the United States now is using the same thing that they've used on us. And I just can't believe it's taken presidents so long to do this. And again, we're going to treat people fairly. We're going to especially treat Canada fairly. But I can't believe it's taken so long where we get charged and don't charge them. Japan was a good example. We made a deal with Japan. You saw that, Mark? A deal with Japan. It's a much different deal than we've had in the past. But they would send us millions of cars, no charge. We weren't allowed to send them cars. We sent no cars. I doubt you had one car go into Japan because we were restricted. They didn't want our cars. Same thing with Europe. Same thing with other places. So now all we do now is fairness. But fairness leads us to the most successful country there's ever been. We have some advantages over other countries, and we do have a great market. We have an amazing market. But you know what? If I let this go, if we didn't win this election, if we had these people that were running, that were ruining our country, destroying our country with their open borders and men playing in women's sports and transgender from everybody and windmills all over the place, if we allowed that to go on for another couple of years, we would be, I'm not sure that we'd even have a country.
Is the fentanyl crisis over with Canada, with the Canadian border?
Is what?
The fentanyl crisis.
Fentanyl.
No, it's not over. It's never, I think it's never going to be over, frankly. But Canada's worked hard and they've done a much better job than in the past. We have very few people coming in through our southern border, too. We've worked with Canada and we've worked with Mexico, so we've made it a lot better.
On fentanyl, any amount is too much. So we've gotten it down. It's down substantially. It's less than 1%, but it's still too much. It's too much at home in Canada.
A lot of people.
Yeah, we got to stop it.
On USMCA, the two of you both committed to seeing it through in the renegotiation of that deal that you made?
Well, we could renegotiate it, and that would be good, or we could just do different deals. We're allowed to do different deals if we want. We might make deals that are better for the individual
What's your preference?
countries. I don't care. I want to make whatever the best deal is for this country, and also very much with Canada in mind. Go ahead, sir.
Sir, on China, what more can the United States and Canada do together to counter China?
Well, you have to be able to compete. They're a great competitor, and Mark and I both know that, and you have to be able to compete. We have big advantages over China for lots of different reasons, and I think we're doing very well with China. I get along very well with President Xi. I'm going to be meeting him in a few weeks, as you know. I'll be meeting him in South Korea, but we've had a very good relationship for a long time. But you have to be able to compete. To do well with China, if you can't compete, you're not going to do well with China. And Canada is very competitive. I can tell you that. Canada is a very competitive country. And I think Canada's done very well over the years with China.
Yeah, we have. But we'll do better together on that.
Mr. President, what is Canada giving you in return? If you say Mr. Carney is going to be leaving Washington happy, what's Canada giving you in
Well,
return?
you'll find out. But I think the people of Canada, they will love us again. Most of them still do. But if you say only 25%.
Well, that's the video. Turns out that President Trump and Mark Carney are actually really good friends and get along. And it seems like tensions with Canada and America are not really existent, right? They keep reassuring people that this isn't a trade war. It's just a business disagreement because there's competing markets. But it does sound like they will actually find a deal very, very soon that's going to be phenomenal for Canada and phenomenal for America. And so all of this, anti-Canada, anti-American sentiment that both countries have had, more from Canada because Canadians just have generally hated America more. The nationalistic mentality is not proud to be Canadian. It's proud to not be American, which is something that I'm trying to break the stigma of because it's completely misleading and it's gross. It's absolutely disgusting. Canada and America should be phenomenal friends. And it seems like, hey, our leaders are phenomenal friends. So maybe we can get back on track. We can actually focus on the real big issue, which is the growing Chinese economy, Russia's consistent and kind of scaling aggression, and other countries that are bigger threats to us than we are to each other. That's the video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. I'll see you in another one. Bye for now.